Hi everyone. We're going to do an example problem now for Excel Chapter 5. This is just a different problem covering the same material. And we're just kind of going to go over the stuff that you guys will have to do in your homework. So if we look here, we're going to work with the subtotals feature. If you do a subtotals feature before you do any sorting, it's going to break up real sort of weird, kind of funny. You're going to have a ton of subtotals. So the first thing you want to do is sort your data. So I'm already here on the data tab. I'm going to sort, and let's first go by city, and then I guess let's go by selling agent after that. Let's see if that would make some sense. So we'll go by city, we're going to add a level, and we're going to go by selling agent, both of those alphabetical. And so we have this. Now we're going to use the subtotal feature. And what this does, it breaks the data apart, and we can look at it sort of in chunks, if that makes sense. So we're going to subtotal here. We're going to, in your homework, you have to, it's by type when you're dealing with those art, pieces of art. Here we're going to go by, I'm going to sort by, I'm going to go by city. So in the subtotal, we're going to use the sum function. We want that, but we're not going to go at each change in number because then we get a change each time. So what we're going to do is we're going to chunk this up. We want to chunk it by city. So we'll say city there. And for the sum of, let's not get days on the market. Let's get sum of selling price and asking price. Summary below the data. We don't have any current subtotals, so it doesn't really matter what we do there. And we're going to click OK. And so now what we've done is we've broken up the data into 3 levels. And this level, level 3, has all of the data. If we go to level 2, we have the subtotals of all the cities, and in 1, the grand total for everything together. And remember, we were talking about asking price and selling price, and so this is the sum of all of those. Click here on 2. This is the sum of asking price and selling price for each city. And 3 is all of the data, but it does have those subtotals with it, right? So that's kind of the point of the subtotal feature. You've got a big data set, you want to find out do some quick math on it, that's how you do it. And then here we've also got it sorted by selling agent if we needed that data for another reason. Okay, so that is the first part of the homework, and I believe it wants you to collapse the data and then set a print area. Page layout. Print area is right here. So it's going to be different for you guys, but select it and set the print area. Okay. Now what do we have here? I'm going to pause it because I haven't really looked at this close. I'm going to read these instructions. Hang on a sec. Okay, so now we're going to go and make a pivot table. I've just switched over from our subtotals page to the next page of sales data. You guys will have one for the art. And we're going to create a pivot table. Pivot tables are actually really powerful tools. They let you take big data sets and really drill down and ask specific questions about what's going on with that data, and are a great tool to use a big data set to ask questions, to find things out, actually find things out. Where you can turn a big old set of numbers into something meaningful using pivot tables. Charts too. But let's get into it. So it wants you to insert a pivot table, which we will do. It's right here next to table. We're not going to do the recommended pivot table. We're just going to do a blank one. The table, because we have clicked in this cell, it's going to select the entire range, which we want. We want a new worksheet. And I believe in the simulation they have you check add this data to the model. We are not going to do that. I'll tell you why in a second. So click OK. And this creates a pivot table. It wants you to name it something. Worksheet named by sold out. We're going to call this, you can rename it, but I'll just call this example. And here we are in the pivot table. You can see it's pivot table 2 because I did want to test this earlier. Here's where you put the pivot table name. We'll also call this example. And there we go. Then, when we start with this blank pivot table, we need to start moving variables around. The good thing about a pivot table, it is very malleable. It's easy to work with. So let's take a look at how we do that. So in you guys' problem, it's looking at, let's see, type, issue price, and we're going to look at the, we're going to look at the type of art, the issue price, and the current estimated value, I think. So we're going to kind of do that here with our cities, with our asking price and our selling price. This is going to be very similar to those. So the first thing we're going to do, where you guys would do type and issue price, I'll do city. So it puts in the city right here. And I'm going to do asking price. And we've got the sum of that right there. This would match our, should match our numbers, yes, on the subtotal previously. So now it asks us to add the estimated value here. We're going to add the selling price to the values column when we do this. And this is the thing, you can move it. This is why I say it's very malleable. You just click on it, drag it right down, and there it is. That's the thing. You can kind of, oh, hey, we want to filter by this, or we want to put it in the rows. That's why you can just click and drag. It's really easy to move stuff around, really kind of easy to play with if you just have some questions you want to mess around with. Okay, where are we at now? So we want to modify the value fields to determine the average issue price and the average estimated value. That's from your problem. So here we're going to get, instead of the sum, we're going to get the averages for both. Here we're going to click on both of the values here, values tab, and value settings here. Change it from sum to average. Done. Change this from sum, value field settings here, to average. Done. I'm going to go in here, we'll select these, and I think we can actually do it in here. In the value field settings, can you do that? Number format, yes. I'll change that to currency. Okay, change it to currency. Over here, we will also change this to currency. And the number of formats. Click OK. Now we've got them as numbers. That's what we want. They want 0 decimal places. I'm leaving mine in. There we go. Insert a calculated field to determine the percent change in the difference between the two values. And we're going to, here again, we're going to say asking price and selling price. So for a calculated field, go here, fields, items, and sets. And under here is calculated field. If you had added the data to the data set, sometimes it won't let you use calculated field. That's why we don't add that to the data set. So we're going to call this percent change. Not five change, but percent change. And to make a formula, it's pretty easy actually. We go in here at the equals sign. We don't need the 0 because we're not messing with it, but we want to, what do we want to do? We want to see the difference, the percent change, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to have, you know what, I think I'll just do, let's see here, what do they want us to do? Percent change. Okay, so the formula for you guys for the homework will be a little bit different from this. It'll involve using the issue price, or the estimated value, subtract the issue price, then divided by the issue price. Here we're going to do it slightly different because our data is slightly different. So here we're just going to have what percentage of asking price we got as selling price. So what we do is we do, when you're creating this formula, you just click on the field you need, and you hit insert field. So we're going to do selling price. We're going to divide that, so it pops right in there. And we're going to divide by asking price. And we're going to insert field. We're going to click, oh, you don't have to hit add here. You just click OK. And there we go. I'll change this to a percentage. We'll do it here, down here, in the value field settings. And we will change our number format to a percentage. And let's do 1 decimal point, is what the heck. And so here we see what percentage of the selling price they got when they sold it, right? Or the asking price. Very similar to what we did in last assignment. And then it asks you to kind of move around I think the calculated field in between, it's super easy. You just move it, actually just straight up move it between the two. See how it's, again, pivot table is easy to work with. You just move it and it's moved. And there you go. So what do we have next? Then there's a little bit of working with it to, you know, sort of formatting that I'm not going to mess with. And move the sold out field to the filters area. So you guys can see here. Here is the filter. I guess we could, let's see here, selling agent, we do something similar here. We want to filter it out by selling agent, and you only want to do the ones that say Buffon does, right? You're going to have a whole lot less because those are the only ones that Buffon has done. Doesn't really map exactly one-to-one, but we'll just go back and put everybody back in there. Okay, anything else we need to do here? I'll just show you where a couple of things that you will need are. Mainly, I wanted to sort of set up a pivot table for you. If you lose your filter, you lose the pieces of the, you lose the fields, just click on the table and come back. Let's see, we don't want that filter anymore. And again, you want something to go away, you just pull it out. There, that filter went away. So we want a slicer. Right here, you can insert a slicer. It's pretty self-evident how it works. You can also insert a timeline. Ask for a timeline too. Slicers and timelines are right here. Design, here's your styles. If you wanted banded columns, you wanted banded rows, all that sort of thing. Do you want headers, et cetera, et cetera. What else are we looking at here? And then finally, let's look at the pivot chart. So we're going to go insert, and we're going to do a pivot chart right there. And sure, do a column. I believe it wants you to move it to a new page. Let's see here. Yep, new sheets. We're going to move our chart to a brand new page. New sheet called pivot chart. Off we go. And it talks about the value field buttons. Here they are. It says, you know, like, what are the value field buttons? It's this stuff. It's this, the average asking price, percent sum change, et cetera, et cetera. Here we're going to just turn those guys off. So we'll hide all of them. They all go away. Notice here we have the sum. This isn't a really great chart because it doesn't really tell us anything. Just kind of an example of how to do it. But here they are. And then there's just a lot of, you know, working with axes here, just like we did last time. You know, you can change your fonts here, et cetera, et cetera. And that's kind of it. You know, really the big thing with if you need to do any formatting to the pivot chart, there it is. The big thing with pivot tables is just getting them started. And this is it's a fairly easy one to get started with. Excel kind of does a lot of the work. That's a real broad overview. I didn't want to do exactly the problem you guys did, just because, you know, didn't want to do it one-to-one. If you have any questions, of course, send me a message in Canvas. And I will say that I'm not going to do a video, I don't think, for the final, because it's a rehash of, it's just basically a capstone, so it like incorporates stuff from chapters 1 through 4. It's kind of stuff you guys have already done. Of course, if you have any questions, give me a message in Canvas. But it's kind of stuff you've all seen before, and because it kind of just hits the high points, it's pretty straightforward. Again, if you have any questions, of course, let me know. But this is probably going to do it for the videos. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.